Good morning, Upstate South Carolina. Hello to you and how do you do? What's up? Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. This is the Fan Upstate. What's happening, y'all? I am Rob Brown. The pleasure is mine, but not exclusively, because directly across from me today on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, he is the alpha and the omega of the Upstate. He is the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. He is the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the great one himself, Lonzo in the building. What's up, Zoe?
First, I would like to apologize to the listeners who were driving along and thought that they had a flat tire. No, that was just Rob opening something.
I don't know why it is. So, for those of you that don't know, I get up about 6 a.m. now with the new shift. I get up about 6:15. And this may shock some of you, all of you, none of you. I do not like being awake at 6 a.m. I don't. Never have, never will. I'm a night owl. Last night, went out, saw a band play, little gig called Bit Brigade. I'll tell you about them later in the show because they are they're fantastic. Got back to the house late. Alarm goes off at 6. Your boy, on nights like last night that lead to days like today, has to pop in and grab himself a little Monster energy drink. This show is not sponsored. However, it is impossible without on days like today. But for whatever reason, Lonzo, in the last week or two, they've done something to where when you pop the top off of one of the big cans, it sounds like a gun goes off. I don't think there's actually anything in the Monster. I think it's just it spikes your adrenaline when you pop the top, and that's how they get you awake, you know?
So they're going for the jump scare, then the caffeine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, right. I think that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, Baker Mayfield is Carolina Panther.
What?
Shocking, I know.
I hadn't heard that.
I know. Get off the air yesterday. Get done with the work, get our segments, our podcast segments up, which you can find by going to thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. Right at the top, there's a button that says podcast. You click on that, drop it down to our show, The Rob Brown Show, and you're going to get podcasts. Now, let me tell you why you want to do it that way. Let me tell you why it is that you want to subscribe to us there, and you want to subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, wherever your podcasts are found. But make sure you're checking out thefanupstate.com, because I drop these podcasts on social media, but the social media posts are spread out. You're usually going to get one or two later in the afternoon after the show is over. You're going to get one the next day, the next morning to start your day off with. But if you go to thefanupstate.com, or if you if you subscribe to us on Spotify or iTunes by searching The Rob Brown Show, as soon as those podcasts get loaded into our website, they immediately pop up. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for the social media drops like most people do. If you go to thefanupstate.com and go to the podcast section at the top, or subscribe to us on the major podcast providers, as soon as those podcasts get uploaded to our website, they go right into your cell phone or your computer or your tablet or your Xbox or wherever you happen to listen to your podcast from. And you will get to hear the excellence of Lonzo and also me at your whim as soon as those podcasts get loaded, usually about 2 in the afternoon at latest. So make sure you're subscribed. Anyway, get done with loading the podcast clips yesterday. Get ready to get out and head to the house. I'm headed down 385 back towards Taylor's, and Lonzo calls. Now, when Lonzo calls me after work, it's one of two things most of the time. Lonzo and I text. Lonzo and I Facebook chat. We Twitter DM.
All right, I text.
Lonzo texts. I read them and then talk to him about it the next day to his face. But we don't, it's rare we call each other. It's rare I call anybody.
All right, it's not like there's dislike or anything.
No,
it's just busy.
Right. I know Lonzo's got a lot going on. He works until, 11:30, 12 o'clock every single night?
Yeah, that's what I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lonzo works hard. He's got a family at the house. I work hard. When I get out of here, I do stuff constantly. So we text because the majority of our conversations aren't pressing. So when Lonzo calls me, one of two things is going to happen. It's either A, hey man, you forgot / need to do this thing, so you need to turn around and come back to the studio even though you've left. Or B, something bad happened. I'm like, but I answer it. And what do I hear but Lonzo going, hey man, the Baker trade happened. I'm like in the car. I'm listening to Rome's fill-in yesterday. He's talking about college football expansion, which is fine. That's a mega story. Somebody asked you, why are you still talking expansion? Because it's a mega story. It's a sport shifting story at its core. So it's important. Lonzo calls goes, the bait trade happened. I pulled the Jeep over on the side of 385 to break out the cell phone and check it, and they sure did. Cleveland will pay about 10 mil of the 18 mil owed to Baker. Carolina will pay Baker about 4.25 mil of that. The rest of it will be converted into incentives. That is to say, Bake lost out on about $3.75 million that was guaranteed in order to facilitate this trade, but that entire amount was converted to incentive clauses. That is to say, if Baker is able to hit certain numbers throughout the year, Baker can earn that $3.75 to $4 million back from the Panthers for performing. The Panthers are also sending a conditional 5th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns. If Baker plays 70% or more of the Panthers' offensive snaps this year, then that 5th-round pick becomes a 4th-round pick for the Cleveland Browns. If it is not, it stays a 5th-round pick. I think you, me, and just about everybody, except Rob Ninkovich for some reason, believes that Baker Mayfield is your starter week 1. And that is interesting because who does Carolina have in week 1, Lonzo?
They have Cleveland. And by the way, watching ESPN this morning, and no, those guys do not believe he's going to be the starter.
A lot of guys
they think it's going to be a competition, and they're stupid. They're just stupid. There's a narrative, especially at ESPN, that about Baker Mayfield, and it stems back to OBJ. OBJ is their guy because he didn't get along with him. He's the worst person on the earth, and that's really what it comes down to. Excuse me, how many teams has OBJ been with? And for the people upset about Baker coming to the Panthers, I just saw a list of all the starters the last, couple years and their records. Baker Mayfield's coming into the same situation, although maybe a little bit better than Cleveland was when he came there. And he's been the winningest quarterback for Cleveland in quite some time.
Yeah, I heard, one of the things that, and I believe Rashad Beard is going to join us coming up in about 21 minutes, and we'll ask him about it. But his co-host on the Panther Nation podcast, David Rhodes, said a couple of weeks ago here on the show, they both joined us, and David said something to the tune of, I believe that Sam Darnold is better than Baker Mayfield. And Lonzo's eyes rolled back so far in his head, I thought they were going to come all the way back around the other side. And I agreed with Lonzo's eye roll. I was like, no way. And he goes, yeah, man, think about it. I want you to think about it. What would happen if you switch these guys, right? Like, what would happen if they flips teams? And I was like, dude, the Browns were 1-15 when Baker got there. And then they were in the playoffs under Baker. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hell of a turnaround. Hell of a turnaround. He's like, you put Baker behind Carolina's offensive line from last year, Baker's going to suck. Acting as if Baker didn't play in front of an offensive line 2 years ago that was 1-15, right? And give that team enough that free agents wanted to be there, that they could justify building that team, that they could justify creating a playoff caliber Browns team, which is not a sentence. A playoff caliber Browns team around Baker Mayfield.
Not going to be a sentence this year either. I mean, because no Deshaun means no playoff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I genuinely am curious.
Sometimes narratives are created out of necessity. Sometimes they're created because, again, maybe you like one guy and don't like another guy. But then sometimes they take on a life of their own, and where people just jump on, oh, yeah, it's cool to not like this person, so I don't like them. Hey, maybe they're right. Maybe. I don't believe so, but we're going to find out.
Listen, as Lonzo has pointed out many times, I'm not going to lie. One of the things that Lonzo loves to harp on that drives me crazy is everything that Lonzo's like, everything that Lonzo likes that other people don't like. Lonzo's like, oh, people only don't like that because it's cool not to like it. And everything that Lonzo doesn't like that everybody else likes, Lonzo says, oh, everybody likes that because it's cool to like it. Now, sometimes you just don't like a thing that a lot of other people like, right? I actually agree with him in this case. I think that there is a large group of people that love to bag on Baker Mayfield because Baker's a dude that's got some cocky. He's got some swag, and he becomes an easy target to create a polarization off of, right? To create a polarizing situation, I should say. It's easy to go out and say, oh, Bake sucks. Because about half the people in the game are going to agree with you. They're going to go, yeah, that guy's a jerk, man.
By the way, to bring it closer to home, really, with the Panthers, think of Cam Newton. Criticized for a lot of the same things. Oh, he's immature. Why is he wearing this? But Cam Newton took you to the Super Bowl. Didn't win it, but he took you there.
Yeah.
But the whole time being criticized about his immaturity and all this kind of stuff, sometimes a narrative is written by one disgruntled person or a couple, and then they take off on it, usually because they're not creative to come up with enough to come up with something else.
Yeah, it's again, it's.
Oh, this show was saying this. We got to say this because they're like this. They're up here, and we need to be up here, so we need to say what they're saying. Whatever.
It's easy to hate on Baker because Baker's got that swag. Baker's got that cockiness. Baker's the guy who was planting flags at midfield. Baker's the dude that after a team rejected his handshake, threw a TD, then grabbed his junk and shook it at them from across the field, right? And there are a lot of people who are they're just gonna hate that guy. They just don't like that. They don't like that behavior. And then there's guys like me that are like, that's awesome. That's awesome. If you reject my handshake at midfield in the spot where a traditional handshake happens, I got no need to respect you because you don't respect me, right? If you can't shake my hand at midfield like you do every other game, then yeah, I'm going to waggle it at you a little bit when I let you know I'm better than you.
And here's what's going to happen for the majority of the people who are going after Baker. If he starts winning, they just won't talk about him.
Oh, 100%.
Because if they talk about him, then they have to say that they were wrong. So they'll just find somebody else to go after.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And that's why it's going to be interesting because there are going to be a lot of people who are now rooting against Baker and therefore the Panthers. But you also got to keep in mind, there's flip side to that coin. There's a lot of people that do genuinely think that the Browns screwed Baker. There's a lot of people, myself included, that think that the Browns are the bad guys, that they are the antagonists of this story, that they created this story where Baker is the bad guy. So you're going to have a lot of people that are pulling for Baker. Especially, week 1 on CBS, Carolina Browns, that just became the must-watch game of the weekend, right? Assuming Baker's the starter, which, yes.
I kind of want to find some tickets and go to that game.
Oh, you and me both?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure. Is it in Carolina? I thought it was in Carolina.
I believe it's Cleveland at Carolina, yes. I believe it is at Carolina. Let me make sure. Yeah, Browns and Panthers, September 11th, 1 o'clock. I got to tell you, I'm supposed to open up the Carolina Panthers kickoff show that day. We might have a guest host in on week 1 because Robbie B is going to be in the Queen City watching Bake wag it a little bit at the Browns. Hey, Jacoby Brissett, good luck, my dude. Let Baker call the defensive schemes for that game. Jailhouse blitz every down. Go get him. Go get him. Make him pay. All right. Texas says shake and bake. McCaffrey and Baker, let's go. I do like a little shake and bake. I really do. I think there's potential here, man. Texas said, I can't wait for the Progressive commercial to see how they handle the Baker thing. Yep. Not at home with Baker Mayfield.
What? Baker just moved. He'll get a new state. Those commercials are already made. He moved to a new house.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great ad campaign that will be, him moving to a new house, especially if he calls it an upgrade.
And
would they let him do that?
Right? Oh, God, that'd be amazing. If you're Progressive, just lean into this, right? Just lean into this. And finally, fan, I hope Lonzo's eye roll was like The Undertaker's. It wasn't. Like in the cartoons when the characters pull the slot machine and it starts ding, 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 going backwards. That's what Lonzo's eyes did when David Rhodes said Darnold was better than Baker. It's pretty funny. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this. Can Baker be the guy in Charlotte? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I'm going to give you my argument as to why. But I saw some of you guys out there, including one guy whose comment had to be hidden on Facebook because it was so profanity-laden, not fans of Baker. Can I convince you? We'll talk about that. Rashad Beard joining us just after 9:30. Coming up at 11:30 today, we're going to be joined by Julie Carlson, the head coach of the Greenville Liberty, as the Liberty will host in their inaugural season a playoff game next Wednesday. We'll talk with Coach Carlson about the season so far and how she's shaping the ladies up for that match at 11:30. We're busy. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
Prisma.
We're at Backstream. Hold on for me. Make sure you're hanging out with us on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate. Facebook.com/thefanupstate. You can also watch it on YouTube by going to youtube.com and searching The Rob Brown Show. And once you do that, you'll see the logo that will ultimately be over my shoulder when you join us on the live stream. Click on that, subscribe to that channel. You can go behind the scenes and watch all 3 hours live every single day and watch Lonzo's incredible dance moves right there on the stream.
It's like the club up in here, yo.
But remember, if I won't, but if I ever find myself single again, I'm absolutely bringing Lonzo out as my wingman from now on, because with those dance moves, how am I not gonna be an absolute stud in the bar?
Well, me walking in already brings the attention, but you throw a little bit of that on there.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
Zoe's gonna reel him in with those dance moves, and then just be like, "Oh yeah, sorry, ladies, I'm taken, but that's my guy Rob over there," and it's gonna work like a charm,
You taught me everything I know.
At 98 Vol Nation writes in, says, Rob, this is on Twitter, by the way, at 98 Vol Nation on Twitter. I think the people sleeping on Baker are idiots. I am not a Panthers fan, nor am I a Baker fan, but a pissed off Baker has proved to be dangerous every step in his career. Are you kidding me? I want junk wagging Baker. I want flag planting Baker. That's the best Baker we've seen. It is when Baker has, I don't know what words you want to use, devolved, mutated. What's the word I'm looking here for? Transformed. Whenever Baker decides that the situation he's in requires him to grab his groin and manipulate it a little bit in the direction of the bad guys, that's the Baker I want.
I think most people have that guy in their group that, you know, if you get them mad, they're going to think more clearly. They're going to be more focused. They're going to do something that's going to make you happy. And the very first game is against Cleveland. If he paid attention to the defense, especially or the offense for this matter, of course he knows the offense and all the things that were said about him. Ain't nothing wrong with going, hey, they're getting ready to run this play. Hey, they're getting ready to run this play.
Here's one thing. I don't know why it is, and you don't hear it talked about specifically very often, but there seems to be this belief floating around on social media that Baker Mayfield's an idiot, right? And I guess it's because for some people, if you act the way that Baker tends to act sometimes, like, oh, you can't be an intelligent guy, you can't be a good player, you can't be a smart player and act that way. And it's like, why? I had a kid that I played basketball with many, many moons ago. Frank Spitznagel was a good friend of mine back through high school. And Frank...
Man, I'm sure he got made fun of a lot for that last name.
Not really, because Frank was the middle linebacker from the Water Boy. With the cross eye. Like, Frank was an incredibly intelligent guy. But Frank was also the dude that in the locker room before the game, Frank would have somebody slap him in the face. We've seen that guy, right? Like, in real life, we've seen that guy. We have seen the videos and the pictures come out from different teams where you got the one guy who's like, slap me in the face, coach. Slap me, coach. Because that whatever it is, that spark gets him good to go. Frank was that guy. And Frank was the dude that on the basketball team, when Frank took a cheap foul or Frank got run over under the basket or whatever, Frank would snap into another gear. And he would stop being Frank and start being Spitz. Because when Spitz went to a different gear, the dude was terrifying, right? But he had to get PO'd to get there. He had to get ticked off to do it. Baker's got a reason to be PO'd the entire season at this point, right? For a couple of reasons. Number one, to look at the Browns, right? Because when your significant other dumps you, what's the best way to handle it? Go to the gym, get ripped, read a bunch of books, get smart, go out there and upgrade, right? It's the best way to handle it. If you have ever been dumped, you know you have two responses: wallow or upgrade. The best way to get back at them is to go get a six-pack, a good job, and make them go, oops, I messed up, right? Second off, Baker's second reason to go play PO'd, Baker's second reason to go out there and lay it down, about $3.5 million on the table if he does. Now, he's got to play 70% of the snaps to get that money. Do you think for a second the Panthers won't be looking for a reason to shut Baker down at 69% of the snaps that Baker's going to play this year?
Come on now. According to ESPN and other places, it's a competition. Sam Darnold could beat him out. He could. He absolutely could.
Yeah. Oh, for the record, he absolutely could beat him out. See, here's the thing. Sam Darnold's a workout king. Sam Darnold looks great in shorts and shells. Looks great in a helmet and no shoulder pads. That's never been the problem.
Until he sees a ghost that looks like Baker.
Then he shuts it down. Tiger Pal Rachel just tweeted into the show. I'm excited about Baker being a Panther, especially after being disrespected. Kind of want a jersey, honestly. Yo, I'm not quite ready to buy into Baker to the Pro Bowl. I am ready to buy into.
You know what? I'm curious.
I believe he'll be better than Sam Darnold.
I'm curious. What would it take to get a Baker Mayfield jersey on Rashad's wall? What would that take?
That's a lovely question. And I bet when we come back here in about 4.5 minutes, Rashad will answer it for us. Because he is on the stream. Go to facebook.com/thefanupstate. Go to the Rob Brown Show and search, and you can watch it with us. We're going to talk to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Zoe. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. You're listening to the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, segue.
I don't know. He walked away when I said it. So.
All right.
So I'm guessing that's a no. You putting him up there, or am I?
I'll throw him up there when he comes back.
We could do it now.
We cursed old Fritzy yesterday.
This is we stuff, and curses don't exist.
I agree.
From what I saw, he played a really good game.
He played a great game.
But they're going to say it's because Nadal was injured.
He just choked at the end, man. Just choked at the end. It happens.
Do you believe the Taika Waititi stuff that he asked Natalie Portman if she wanted to be in Star Wars? It's everywhere that he's supposed to. That dude's sense of humor, I believe he was messing around.
I haven't seen anything about it, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
So what's the rumor?
That Taika Waititi asked Natalie Portman if she'd want to be in a Star Wars movie. Because he didn't realize she was Padme, and
Gotcha.
So you forgot she was Padme.
No. I didn't understand why Taika Waititi would have asked her that.
According to this, I said, I'm trying to work on Star Wars thing. Have you ever wanted to be in a Star Wars movie? She said, I've been in Star Wars movies. Everything about that dude's sense of humor tells me
he's a weirdo, and I love him.
He's messing around. Yeah. And some Star Wars nerds are going, see? The prequels suck. Even he didn't even know she was in it.
I mean, the prequels do suck.
No, they don't. They do not.
But
no Duel of Fates. There's so many things that you would not have without the prequels. Duel of Fates, I would argue, more iconic than the original Star Wars music.
Duel of Fates is a great moment.
You'd have no double-bladed lightsaber.
It is not more iconic than "No, I Am Your Father." Not more iconic than that moment. That is.
By the way, I compared music to music, and you're trying to compare moments to music.
It's not as iconic as the original.
Yes, it is.
Star Wars
Yes,
theme.
it is.
It's absolutely not.
Oh, without a doubt.
If we go out onto the street and play that for 100 people, 99 are going to recognize the Star Wars theme.
As soon as
50 will recognize
you can say that, but until we actually do it, I'm right and you're wrong. And here's the other thing. If we go out there, as soon as they see Duel of Fates, that thing will come up in their eyes. It comes up in everybody's eyes when you see Duel of Fates.
That's a dope song, but it doesn't mean they're going to know where it came from.
They know.
All right, listen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, and it is time for a segment that I have been looking forward to for literally hours, basically. Rashad Beard, how you doing, big fella?
What's up, guys? What's up?
How we feeling, my guy?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. I do have to eat some crow. I've been on my crow eating world tour since yesterday. And that's okay. It's okay. I was completely wrong about this actually going down. They got it done. And it kind of is what it is. Baker's our guy.
It's 100% is what it is. What is it? Like, what's this to you? You have been not on board with the cut quarterback, the cast-off quarterback, whatever terminology you've wanted to use. Now that the guy's in the fold, we'll talk about the most optimistic possibilities, but what's the most realistic situation look like for you with Baker at the helm?
Yeah, I think he starts week one. I think obviously the storylines are in place for him to go against his former team week one. And we'll see what happens with that. I like his one thing I do like about Baker. I like the fire, man. He plays with that edge. It's something we haven't seen since Cam Newton has been around in his days. So I do like that. I hope that Baker is not a product of his surroundings and can actually lead a team that may be a little bit less talented than what he had in Cleveland. That's going to be it's going to be to be seen. He's got some good plays, and all the Cleveland Browns fans have been in my comments on the YouTube and said, man, he's good, he's bad, he's wildly inconsistent. That's just something you're gonna have to get used to, and that's the same thing we've been dealing with for a long time: inconsistent quarterback play. Listen. He got cut. He got traded. He feels disrespected. I watched the hour-long interview he did a couple months ago, and I like it. I like where his mind is. He feels disrespected. He's gonna want to prove people wrong. Can he capitalize on it? We'll see. And I think I think realistically, our floor has to be 7. It's got to be 7 wins, man. And that's kind of where I had us prior, even with Sam. I didn't think he would move the needle that much. I'm starting to warm up a little bit to it. I think maybe we can get to 10. That would be great. We'll see, man. I'm trying to warm up to it. I'm trying my best.
I can see you trying to build some optimism. All right, so let me tell you what I said when we opened the show today. What you're getting, I think, with this Baker is the Baker that planted the flag and made everybody mad. You're getting the Baker that after he got his handshake rejected, went to the sideline and grabbed his junk and shook it at the team across the field from him. But those two Bakers, those two Bakers were going 5-1 touchdowns to interceptions. Those two Bakers were Heisman finalists. Those two Bakers were the Bakers that took a 1-15 Browns team and brought them to the playoffs a couple of years later. This dude has 3.5-ish million reasons to come out and get it done this year, and then a couple of very personal ones. I think you're getting an angry Baker Mayfield, and throughout his career, angry Baker has been the one that has consistently showed up and played. If you're Matt Rule, if you can keep that fire stoked for Baker, I think you're in a great spot, right?
Yeah, I think so. But can the same not be said about the same thing? Can that not be said about Sam Darnold in the same situation we had last year? Like that's the thing. I'm trying to be like optimistic about it, and I think he's a ball. I think he can play football. And again, I think what he had in Cleveland sets him up for success. Like I said earlier, I just hope he's just not a product of the surroundings he had in Cleveland, because that's the number one offensive line. That's a good running game, a different running game. Christian McCaffrey's great, but that 1-2 punch he had in Cleveland's a bit different. I know we have Deontay Foreman now, and I've seen him. He absolutely has that edge, that chip on his shoulder. That's great and all, but I got to see it on the field. Like, we can talk about all that hypothetical stuff, but I got to see it on the field. And again, this coaching staff, and we talked about this. This coaching staff has to pull it out of him, right? That has yet to be seen. We're on our third, fourth, fifth quarterback now, and we're still struggling to get it done. And so until I see it on the field, I'm gonna kind of protect myself from being disappointed. Like, I have to see it on the field. And one thing I will say about Baker Mayfield, I'll give him credit for this too, and I didn't realize this, is that he did play for like 4 different coaches, three different offensive coordinators. Like, that's a lot, right? That's something that's a testament to him, right? He dealt with a lot in Cleveland. They're shuffling coaches around. Hopefully we can get some sort of consistency here. If he can land a couple, if he plays well, we keep him around, and hopefully we can get some consistency. But I gotta see it, man. I'm just listen. I'm tired of let's get a new quarterback here. I got to see some consistency, man.
You know, I've said for a while, I think that I think Baker might be able to be better than he showed in Cleveland, because for whatever reason, people think that somehow Baker showed up and then the Browns just suddenly stopped being an inept program, right? They just suddenly stopped being a dumpster fire franchise that they've been for many years. I think Baker was the calming effect. I think he was the guy that they started to say, okay, we got something we can build around. We don't have to be frantic. We don't have to be panicked. We can actually kind of take our time to build something. If Carolina's lucky, Baker brings that same stabilizing force to Carolina, where it feels like even the Darnold recruitment, even bringing Darnold in, kind of felt like a panic, right? It kind of felt like we got to do something, and this is our guy. This is a guy that we haven't written off entirely. It felt like a panic move. This doesn't feel like a panic move. This feels like a justifiable move. And by the way, the one thing we haven't even got to yet, worst case, you got a hell of a deal on the guy. You're off $4 million in a 5th-round pick. That's a steal for a guy. If Baker flames out, it's not even that big of a loss for you, to be real, Rashad Beard.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important piece of this, right? This is not similar to what we did with Sam Darnold. Like, we went out and traded all the 2nd, the 4th-round picks to go get Sam Darnold, took his 5th-year option, $18 million in the hole. Like, this is completely different, right? This is not Teddy Bridgewater. We paid him on a 3-year deal, paid him $60 million, whatever it was. This is not that. How we were able to get, we fleeced the Browns. This is to be honest, we fleeced them. We got Baker Mayfield for $5 million. They ate half or just over half the contract, and he reduced his contract down for $3 million, and then we'll get it back potentially in incentives. But the deal for a conditional 5th-round pick that could go up to a 4th-round pick, I mean, that's a steal. That's fleecing 101, and I think we were owed that, honestly, based off what we did for Sam Darnold. I mean, we were owed a little bit of so that was some karma coming back to us. We needed that for sure. So like you said. For what we got for him, I'm not mad at it. And if as somebody that was against the trade going down, I'm not mad at the actual execution of the trade and how we got him. I'm not mad at that at all. And no one should be.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast, along with David Rhodes. You can follow them on the social media at Panther Nation PC, but make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of Baker breakdowns as we move forward. All right. Now, we've talked about Baker. We've talked about the deal. We've talked about the financials. We both talked about what we think he brings to the table. Let's start talking about how he fit. Well, actually, let me start with this. Rob Ninkovich and a host of other ESPN guys have come out in the last 12 hours and said this is a competition. Ninkovich, amongst a couple of others, have said they honestly think Sam Darnold starts on week 1. There's no way in my mind that Sam Darnold's the week 1 starter with Baker Mayfield in the mix. There's no way in my mind, but what does that QB competition look like? When you and I are in Wofford in a few weeks watching camp, are we going to see a genuine competition, or is Baker the guy?
Man, they're going to sell it as such, right? Of course, they've got to spin the narrative that this is a competition, but it's not. It's not. I mean, you don't go out and trade for a Baker Mayfield if you didn't think he was going to be your starter. There would have been no need. If you believe that much in Sam Darnold, you would have kept him, and there would be no need. And I certainly hope that, again, the week 1 storyline is in place. Cleveland versus the Panthers in Charlotte. Baker Mayfield. I'm with you. I think he takes one of those flags and he's gonna go to the 50-yard line. He's gonna plant that thing, and it's gonna be smoke. Like I really think it's gonna be. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for week 1, and I think Baker Mayfield is gonna be the starter, no question in my mind. And competition is gonna be sold, but it's not. It's not. Baker's gonna be the guy.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, so one of the big moments of drama that comes from this was a number of weeks ago when Robbie got asked, is Baker the dude? And Robbie basically was like, not only no, but then started doing the cryptic retirement tweets on Twitter thing about it. Well, Robbie Baker's the guy now. How's that chemistry work out? I would think this is a moment when Matt Rule goes, hey, man, dude, you're in or you're out. You're committed to this guy or you're not. But how does that work when Bake shows up, especially in, 3 weeks when these guys take to the field as teammates for the first time?
Yeah, I think Robbie did put out a tweet saying he didn't have a problem with Baker and that I guess everyone is spinning a narrative. Stop trying to spin a narrative. I mean, Robbie, with all due respect, I mean, you're the one that put it out there, right? So you're the one that said no. You're the one that didn't want a Baker Mayfield here. So we're not spinning anything. We're just going off of your tweet. So obviously they're men. They got to man up, right? Robbie Anderson has to man up and come to camp, do what he needs to do. And I've heard that Baker's trying to get the guys together to get some throwing and stuff with the running backs and wide receivers. So hopefully they can mend that. Also, I'll take it a step further. And Ben McAdoo, offensive coordinator, they got to get something figured out too, because McAdoo had him as a 6th ranked quarterback coming out of college, behind like Josh Rosen, behind a bunch of guys. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, etc. He had him behind all of those guys. So there's going to have to be a lot of massaging. They're grown men. Hopefully, we can get over that and do what's best for the team and go out there and get some W's. They got to put that stuff to the side. They're all making too much money to be having these simple grudges. Let's get over it and let's move on and do what's best for the Panthers.
Yeah, it certainly feels like in this spot, you love to be able to think you can grab a guy by the helmet and go do your job. I don't care if you like your coworker or not. Do your job. But we also know the NFL does not work like that. And we know that these guys especially, and I don't mean to criticize one group, but especially wide receivers can be a little prima donna more than anybody else. This, I think, kind of becomes Matt Rule's moment, right? Like this, if Matt Rule can't figure out the chemistry, can't build a cohesive team around Baker, can't get everybody on the same page, at least on the offensive side of the ball alongside Ben McAdoo, it's got to be the nail in the coffin for Matt Rule, right?
Yeah, I think that this is what he's supposed to be good at, right? He can't necessarily coach one side or the other, right? He's not an offensive guy, not necessarily a defensive guy. This guy is a people's coach. He's a team builder guy. This is his thing. And if you can't do your thing in building a team, then you got a problem. You got a serious problem. And so, yes, he should be able to say, and with Robbie specifically, like Robbie Anderson goes back to Temple with him. Like, you should be able to take Robbie Anderson into a room, into your office, and say, look, Robbie, we've been through this. Like, I've been there for you in the past. Let's figure this out. Right? You should be able to do that with Robbie Anderson. If you can't do that, I agree with you. That's got to be it. I mean, because that's supposed to be your thing. You're supposed to be the people, the motivator, the coach, the pastor, the preacher, all these things that you sold us when you first came to Carolina. This is what you got to figure out in this moment. So I agree with you. If you can't get that done, then you got to go, bro. You got to go.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, as he does every Thursday at this time, to talk a little Panther football. So we've got minicamp, or we got camp, I should say, at Wofford starting up here, and we mentioned about a little less than 3 weeks at this point. Between here and there, you've got your quarterback, or at least you've got your quarterback battle set up between Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Between now and then, what, if anything, do you want to see the Panthers accomplish before they go full team activities for the first time?
I don't know. I don't have anything in particular that I'm looking for. I would like to see, I think the biggest thing right now is trying to get everybody on the same page, right? I would like to see Baker Mayfield get those guys, get those receivers, get those, show some leadership, right? Be that guy, start right now, get those guys out somewhere. I don't know, go somewhere and start training, right? Get that chemistry going early. I wish the deal, because from what I've been told by a couple of sources that have sources, is that this was supposed to be done a long time ago, right? I know I've been pushing it away, and I've been kind of saying, hey, no to Baker, but this is supposed to be done a long time ago. So the fact that they're a little bit behind the ball, granted they got it done before training camp, let's get that chemistry going. So the biggest thing I would want to see is Matt Rule fix those relationships. What is Ben McAdoo going to say? What is Robbie Anderson? He's already gone out there and say, I don't have a problem with him. Can we put those differences to the side and go out there and do what's best for the Carolina Panthers? I would like to potentially see a Carlos Dunlap signing as well. I know we hadn't talked about him in a little bit, but if we can fix the edge a little, not fix, but add a veteran presence to the edge, that would be great. Outside of that, it's just kind of wait and see. We got a lot of good position battles coming up, and I'm here for it. I can't wait for training camp. Panther, I'd say about 60%, based on my poll yesterday, 60% of Panther Nation is excited about Baker Mayfield. So let's go out there. Let's see it during training camp. Let's see what he's gonna do, and I'm excited for it.
Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast, and also the man with the most forced optimism in America right now after the addition of Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers. Look, I'm gonna tell you this before we get off, Rashad. I think it's an upgrade. I think the people saying it's not an upgrade I think there's a lot of people, Shad, that just don't like Baker as a dude because he's got a little swag, he's got a little cocky to his game, and people just don't like that. To say it's not an upgrade is silly. The question's just going to be now, can the team chemistry get built? If it can, the Panthers might be good. If not, Matt Rule's done. Seems like it's a win for you either way.
Listen, Baker's my guy now. He's my guy. I'm gonna rock. I heard you guys talking about the jersey before I go on. I'm gonna get the jersey. I have to. I'm gonna get the jersey. I'm gonna rock it. I'm all in. I support my squad no matter what. I was rocking with Sam through week 3. You remember last year? I thought we were going to the playoffs with Sam Darnold after week 3. So I'm rolling. You got to show it to me in the win column though, and hopefully he does that. All the other stuff aside, how he is as an individual off the field, I could care less. If you show it to me on the field, that's what matters. Can we get the coaching right? That's all to be seen. And I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. And let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Go Panthers.
At Panther Nation PC on the social media, but make sure you are subscribed to their YouTube channel at Panther Nation Podcast. You will not find better and more comprehensive breakdowns of everything silver and blue. Shad, my guy, good to have you back, buddy. We'll see if you're still smiling next week.
For sure. All through week 1.
They're all through week 1, baby. Catchphrase on Thursdays. I love it. Rashad Beard will rejoin us next Thursday. We appreciate his time as always. We are back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys. Sorry about that.
So if you
Lonzo
could,
and I are talking behind the scenes stuff.
if you can manage that, I definitely want to go. Just
100%.
because
100%.
in the past we've did it from a certain wings place, and I will mention that to you later, and maybe we can make that, find out who has that account and make that happen from there. Harley in the first break.
Yes, I did just slam my face with my headphones. Just another beautiful Thursday in the upstate of South Carolina.
It's because I was headbanging, and now I'm watching myself do it. It was amazing. It's over now, but
Good
you
luck.
know, yeah.
Hey, it's Thursday. You know what that means, Lonzo.
It's the day before Friday.
That is exactly right. Also means that coming up in the final hour of the show is Fight Club, your home for all things combat sports across the upstate. I will tell you that we are going to be doing it for the second week in a row at a one-time only time. Right off the top of the next hour, exactly 59 minutes from right now, we will start Fight Club with Lonzo, your home for all things combat sports in the upstate, because coming up at 11:35 today, to end the show, we will be joined by head coach of the Greenville Liberty, Julie Carlson. Coach Carlson's ladies are in the USLW League. Coach Carlson's ladies are one of only 4 teams in the USLW League that will be hosting a first-round playoff match. And with a little love and some tenderness and a win, they may host a second round as well. We will see. But we do know that as of right now, next Wednesday, 7 p.m., Legacy Early College, Coach Carlson's Greenville Liberty will be hosting the first USLW League playoff game here in the upstate. Very excited about that. You can grab your tickets at greenvilleliberty.com. They went on sale yesterday at 2 o'clock. They are on sale now. I want to pack out Legacy for these ladies. They have been busting their hump to carry that Greenville badge well, and they have done just that. So make sure you go to greenvilleliberty.com, grab your tickets, and make sure you're listening at 11:30 this morning when we are joined by Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty, and we will break down the absolute heater that the girls have been on lately.
I want to remind everybody also to check us out on Facebook and on YouTube, because Benjamin just said, listening today on a train from Florence, Italy to Rome, you are killing it internationally.
Love to see it.
I've seen some of the pictures. It's pretty cool,
Love to see it.
including, Pisa.
Yeah.
Have you been to Pisa before?
I have not. My little brother studied abroad. And here's the thing. I would like to go to Italy. It seems like a lovely place, but I want to go to Italy for the dork reasons. I want to go see the sites of the Renaissance, right? I want to go see where Leonardo and Michelangelo and Donatello and the other philosophers and inventors and creators lived. I want to go see where we came out of the Dark Ages and into the Age of Enlightenment. I want to see the science and the art and the history. And everybody I know is like, let's go to Italy and drink wine and eat olives. And don't get me wrong, big wine guy. I will drink a lot of wine while I'm in Italy.
Do olives go with wine? Again, I don't drink, so I don't know.
They can. I'm not a big olive guy. Olives are like the worst bar snack to me.
Did you have a pit incident?
No, I just don't like them.
All right.
I just don't like them. The lady friend, on the other hand, would punch me in the face for some stuffed olives.
All right. So this is an aside, but I am curious. Do olives add something to a drink when I see drinks with olives in them?
Yeah. I mean,
what do they do for the flavor?
They complement the flavor. They're a flavor enhancer in that you eat an olive and it brings out the taste, the botanical
like a lime or
drink.
something like that.
Yeah, same reason you put
okay.
a lime in a beer or on a margarita. I'm not an olive guy. So I want to go to Italy to do all the dork stuff Everybody in my family wants to go to Italy for like the food and the drink. And don't get me wrong, like, yeah, I'm in, but I don't know, man. I'd rather go to Ireland first. I'm going to Ireland first. You know, I want to see I want to see the history of Ireland. And in fairness, I come from there, so it's a little bit of sentimentality. But I want to hit the Bushmills distillery, man. I want to see where my whiskey comes from. I want to hit the Guinness brewery. I want to. By the way, I don't know when the next one's going to be. I think it was last year or 2 years ago when the Rona hit hard. Notre Dame was supposed to play a game in Dublin, and I was going to go to that. And I think I'm going to wait for that, right? Like, I think I'm going to wait till the next time Notre Dame plays in Dublin and go international college football. I think that's the way to go.
Wonder what conference they'll be in when they do
that. Exactly. Ben, appreciate you listening internationally. Listen, if Ben is listening on a train from Florence, Italy to Rome, where it is currently 4:05 in the afternoon, what excuses do you have for not joining the stream and hanging out with us? All right? We built this stream to be another way for you to interact with the show. We built this stream to be a place where you could come hang out. You can chat with other members of the Rob Brown Show Armada. You can chat with us behind the scenes. My man Ben is on an international vacation and still took the time to pop in. What's your excuse? Trey writes into the stream, says the Browns tried to change Baker's password to the facilities. They got a notification saying, please use a password that hasn't been used before. They had a hard time going from 6 to any other number because of how many quarterbacks they've had. Yeah, every quarterback. Now, I got to imagine Browns fans are like borderline apoplectic at this point, right? Like another one, DJ Khaled.
I just hope that Baker changed the locks on his way out and didn't give them the key, and now they can't get in the stadium to practice.
Yeah, call my progressive rep.
Left all the toilets running, all the sinks running.
I was gonna say light the dumpsters on fire, but it's Cleveland. They're always that way. It's just what the Browns are. So Bake is a Panther now. Cleveland has shipped him off. They did so in return for a 5th-round conditional pay. You know what the best part of this for the Panthers is? Whether Baker works out or doesn't is irrelevant. I mean, it's great if he does. You want Baker to work out, obviously. You're hoping that you made the right call. You're hoping that you have got this dude coming in to make money moves. But even if he doesn't, right? It's a gamble. We know it's a gamble. But even if he doesn't, Lonzo, you got him at a steal. I mean, the art of the steal, my friends, right? You got him at a conditional 5th-round pick, and you have to pay less than $5 million of his $18 million salary. Less than 5 at a 5th-round pick. And if that 5th-round pick was to bump up to a 4th-round pick, it's because Baker was successful, in which case, who cares? It's a great move. Great move.
I can't wait to get to training camp and watch him some, just to see what he's like out there on the field. And you know, it's not true practice what we get to see a lot of times, but you can. I know what Cam did during those things, how he worked the crowd and all that kind of stuff when they would have fan fests. Yeah. I want to see what Baker does. And he doesn't have to come out and work the crowd. I just want to see what is, as was talked about with Rashad, what his chemistry is going to be like with his receivers. And does he immediately go to Christian McCaffrey's house and ask him if he needs any, help around the house or anything like that?
I know a great insurance agent.
Yeah, because that's your guy right there. That's the guy you need to take care of.
Well, remember last year when Sam Darnold came into the fold? The very first bit of news we got when Sam Darnold became a Panther, the first bit of news we got was Sam and Run CMC are buddies now. They're hanging out. CMC had him over for dinner. They were working out together out in California. CMC hooked Sammy up with his trainer so they could be on the same page with conditioning and all that. CMC is a team leader. I don't care what you say about the guy as long as you lead it off with Christian McCaffrey has been phenomenal at being a leader on this program. I hope that he does that with Baker. I hope that Baker gets in with him. I hope that they become a dynamic duo for the sake of the Panthers. But most importantly, I hope they do it so that Robbie Anderson looks and goes, I better get my ass in line. I better get it in shape. I better get on the page with these guys. Because if Robbie and the QB don't see eye to eye, that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. But if Robbie and CMC don't see it eye to eye, one of those guys is the face of the franchise. One of those guys is not. Is not. So you got to hope that Bake and Christian McCaffrey get on the same page so that everybody else looks and goes, all right, 22-6 are buddies. Means I better be a buddy too. Because CMC's the one guy in that locker room that you don't want to have calling you a bad teammate.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to protect Christian McCaffrey, you want him to stay healthy, Baker Mayfield has to play good. If he plays good, it takes some pressure off of Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey has been the offense when he's in there. And that's the other thing. They need to work it to where he's not the offense. Because you put him in harm's way too much. And yeah, you want to get the ball in his hands because of what he can do when he has it, but it shouldn't be every play.
Yeah, it shouldn't be every play. And B, even if you're gonna run him more than you'd like to, they got into this thing of we need to run him inside so that when he goes outside, it's a break instead. It's the exception, not a rule. No. No, you need to run other guys inside with CMC on the field at the same time so that then they know the threat comes from either spot. Baker can help with this, though, because Baker can get out. Imagine what happens when you run a stretch wide boot with Baker Mayfield, right? You flow the offense to the right. You fake the handoff to 22. The defense flows to that side, and then Baker just takes off around the left-hand side. It's going to work. What side you going to cover? Because if you start flowing back to the left to cover the naked boot, next time I'm going to give it to McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's going to have a convoy out ahead of him, and you are going to have guys that flowed back to the left, to your right, to the left, to stop Baker on the naked boot because he can run it with a backside tight end and a backside slant route with Robbie Anderson. So he sends everybody to the right, Baker naked boots to the left. Once you start protecting that play, now I'm actually going to give it to CMC. And CMC is going to have a convoy of offensive linemen that went right, and your defenders are out of position having gone left to stop the boot. I like the versatility that Baker brings to the flow. I think it adds a threat that alongside Christian McCaffrey is a good one, is a real good one. I like this. Winners and losers from this trade. I got a few. Number one winner in all of this is Matt Rule. Matt Rule has the hottest seat of any coach in the National Football League. Lonzo, agree or disagree? Nobody has feet to the fire more than Matt Rule entering the season.
If he's not number one, he's top three. There's got to be someone else out there.
I'll wait because I thought about it.
Although there are a lot of coaches replaced already. So
a lot of new coaches.
Okay, so you're probably right.
Hottest feet to the fire right now is Matt Rule. There's a lot of people going, Matt Rule has now gotten his third cast-off quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Here's the thing.
I still have a problem with this because how is this all on him? They do have a GM, right?
Yes, but in the NFL, coaches 90% of the time are going to be the ones. Here's the thing. He's got Sam, who's his guy. If they went out there and they got Baker, it's because Matt Rule wanted him, not Scott Fitterer. So Matt Rule gets another cast-off quarterback, except here's the thing. There's a difference between cast-off because the guy just wasn't good enough versus let go because they have an all-timer at the position. Sam Darnold was a cast-off. That fits. That is appropriate there. He was a cast-off. I don't know that I would argue that Teddy Bridgewater was a cast-off because did Teddy B ever have a chance to genuinely beat Drew Brees out in New Orleans? No. But also, Teddy B wasn't Baker. Teddy B was a guy with a blown-up knee from a couple of years ago that had 5 good games in New Orleans while Drew was out, and nothing else is a sample size.
Yeah, but Bridgewater had a pretty good time in the NFL before he got hurt.
Yeah, before his knee exploded.
If you look at the history of him as a player, he was pretty good. And yes, he was older, and he earned getting a shot by how well he played in New Orleans.
I agree. It was still a shot. That's why I said I wouldn't call him a cast-off, but I also wouldn't argue that he's in Baker's realm, right? Baker's not a cast-off. Baker got sent out for 2 reasons. Number 1, the Browns management are idiots and continue to prove that they're idiots. And number 2, even if you don't think the Browns fans are, or the Browns admins are idiots, the Browns went out and got even if he's a terrible person off the field, generational talent on it. Right? A generational
But when that happened, it shocked everybody.
Sure it did.
It shocked everybody. Why did it shock everybody? For a couple reasons, for all the problems that Deshaun was having, but because they had Baker Mayfield. If they had a horrible quarterback who hadn't won some games for them, who had just played hurt all season for them, then it wouldn't have been as much of a shock for everybody.
Agreed. Regardless of what the feeling was when they got Deshaun, they got Deshaun. Baker.
Kind of.
Yeah, well, he is a Brown. How much he plays as a Brown, we'll find out, but he is a Brown. When Deshaun came in, and let's not pretend that Baker wasn't disrespected when the Browns said, we want an adult in the room to play quarterback. I don't know how to take that anyway but disrespectful, right? Baker got disrespected by the Browns. He had to go. Here's the thing. Baker's not as good as Deshaun Watson, assuming Deshaun plays. You know who else isn't as good as Deshaun Watson? Most NFL quarterbacks. Most of them are not as good as Deshaun Watson. That's why the Browns did it, right? And so with the Browns having done that, Baker had to go. Baker didn't let go because Baker's bad. Baker wasn't let go because Baker didn't produce. Baker was let go because they found a generational talent to play that position. And they're idiots, right? So this isn't like they picked up some retread quarterback on his 3rd or 4th or 5th team who just can't get it done. This is a guy that's in the playoffs last year, man. That's who this guy is. Matt Rule is better off now than he has been under the last couple of years. He is better off now. Question is, can he build chemistry? Another winner in this? Baker Mayfield himself. You're out of Cleveland, my dude. You're out of Cleveland, and you get a chance to prove yourself now. You're out of Cleveland, and you get an opportunity to prove. What did Rashad say when we talked to him? Rashad said, the one thing I hope is that Baker can prove he was not a result of his situation, but is actually the guy. Now, my argument was, everywhere Baker has gone, stability has followed. College, Oklahoma, stability, right? That was a program that had its ups and downs in recent years. Stability under Bake. He gets to Cleveland. They were 1-15 before he showed up. Baker provided enough stability that for about 3 seasons, the Browns didn't look like the idiots that they are. There was so much stability in Cleveland around Baker that the inept Browns organization actually looked like they knew what the hell they were doing for a few minutes. And the first time in a few years that they didn't look like they knew what they were doing was because they got rid of Baker Mayfield. And it's been dumpster fire since then because that's the Cleveland Browns, right? The dude has brought stability everywhere he's gone. I don't expect him to do any different here. And again, if being inspired to throw the old double birds up at the Browns wasn't enough for Baker, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, Mayfield. If that wasn't enough, Baker being good enough to justify playing 71% of the snaps or more is worth like $3.75 million. Hey, Lonzo, how hard would you work for $3.75 million?
A little bit harder than I'm working now.
I mean, there's not much room for that, but I'd find it. 3.75 mil, I'll give you a year of 80-hour work weeks.
But the thing is, I mean, looking at what he just did, as we just talked about, playing injured with the injuries that he had last year, of course he's going to go out and do that. If he plays through those injuries, unless he breaks something, and hopefully he won't, he'll be out there. So chances are he's getting that money.
Texas says, people hate Baker for the same reason that they hate Tennessee baseball. Yeah, I agree. Baker took heat for planting a flag. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this not a rivalry anymore? Is that not what we do? Baker took heat for grabbing his junk and shaking it at the other team. Oh, I'm sorry. Did the other team not look him in the face when he offered his hand for a handshake and turn that away and keep their arms crossed?
He didn't plant the flag successfully. It just kind of fell down.
You know what he was going for.
Yeah. What team was he playing?
So, you got this guy in Baker Mayfield. You got this guy in Baker Mayfield who has attitude. You got this guy in Baker Mayfield that has swag, that has cockiness. You got this guy in Baker Mayfield that has a little bit of that DGAF attitude when he gets the opportunity to put it on display.
By the way, I should hate the guy because they were playing Ohio State when he did that.
Oh, I thought that that was a sarcastic question.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and I don't. I think he's gotten a bad rap from Cleveland and from certain members of the media, and I hope he comes in and tears it up.
Yeah, Tex is right. They hated Tennessee baseball because Tennessee baseball has fun playing a game.
Yeah, but Cleveland needed an adult in the room.
Yeah. Okay. The audacity of having fun playing a game. How dare he? Let's take a break. Get some more Baker stuff in during the show if you want to. Got a few more other topics that I'd like to get to at some point, including, speaking of Deshaun, we now know what's next in the disciplinary process. I'll tell you what that is if you care. And I'm kind of starting to think, I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in curses. I think this microphone might be cursed because something happened yesterday after we got off the air. I'm not saying I blame Lonzo for it. I'm not saying I blame me for it. I'm not saying I don't. Tell you what that is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. right back stream. Hang on. That was a symphony of me. Steven, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And happy Thursday to you as well, my guy. I hope that some of your neighborhood folks join us and enjoy. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. The phone line's open for you today at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. The Preferred Home Services text line is there for you, too, at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N, is the word to start your text with. When you send it to 71307, we'll read your text on the air. What's your thoughts on this Baker Mayfield trade? I think it's good for the Panthers, right? I think it's an obvious upgrade from Sam Darnold, A. I think, B, you got a very motivated quarterback, or at least a quarterback who should be very motivated. We will find out if he is, but he's got every reason to be a very motivated quarterback. And C, it don't cost you that much. You're effectively out 4.5 mil, right? The only way you're going to owe Bake more is if he plays 70% or more of the snaps. And if he plays 70% or more of the snaps, then at that point, he's done well. He's done good. That's good. That means you got a quarterback who's playing. Because if he's not outperforming Sam Darnold, you just make the switch back to Sam, you save yourself some money. You are out a 5th-round conditional draft pick if he plays 70% a 4th-round pick, right? If he plays 70% of the snaps, some of his incentives kick in, and if he plays 70% or more of the snaps, your 5th rounder goes to a 4th rounder. So if Darnold does get beat out by Bake, and Bake plays better than Darnold, great, you're at a 4th-round pick. You're at a 4th-round pick. If he doesn't, and Darnold is better than him, cool, you're at a 5th-round pick, and you took a shot, right? You don't know what has happened or what is going to happen in the NFL until you roll the dice, until you take the shot. And at this point, Carolina took the shot, which is what I've been asking them to do for like 6 weeks now, right? Texter says, I'm a Colts fan, but I'll be paying attention to the Panthers this year. Love Baker's swag. Yeah, like I said, you're in one of two camps with Baker Mayfield. You either love Bake because he's got swag, or you hate Bake because he's got swag. It's one or the other. I love the guy. I think he's great.
Well, the thing that will bring people around who don't like him is wins.
That's also true.
That's what will do it.
That's also true. Everybody going to hate him if he's on another team. Everybody who hates him because of the swag is going to hate him on another team. We will all get over our distaste of almost anything for a guy who brings us dubs. Zo's right. Texter said, I believe I would rather have Johnny Manziel over Baker. Go Panthers. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Stop. Listen, I'm not asking you to believe that Baker Mayfield, is Joe Montana. I'm not asking you to believe that Baker Mayfield is the second coming of Drew Brees. I'm not asking you to believe that Baker Mayfield is going down as an icon, as a legend. What I am asking you is to realize, again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse now. Baker Mayfield showed up in Cleveland the year after the Browns were 1-15. In the years that Baker Mayfield was there, he was able to create and generate enough stability offensively that suddenly the Browns were able to get some free agents. The Browns were able to bring some vets in. The Browns were stable enough around Baker Mayfield that they were able to build a playoff team. I'm not asking you to believe that Baker Mayfield is a guy that can single-handedly bring a team to the playoffs. I don't know that he is. I'm asking you to believe that Baker Mayfield is a guy that can generate enough stability around the franchise and around him that the Panthers can now focus on everything else, which is one thing they haven't been able to do. It's great. I think it's great. I think it's the right move. I think it doesn't cost you all that much. And at the end of the day, that's a great thing. That's a great thing for Carolina. I'm not going to spend the rest of the show on this. All right. We got Fight Club coming up at 11. At 11:30, Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty, is going to join us to talk a little local football. So we got about 25 minutes left in this hour to get into everything else I want to get into. I'm going to say this to the Panthers. You are better today than you were 2 days ago. You have a better chance at success today than you did 2 days ago. I was big on the Darnold trade when it happened. It did not work out. I believe Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold, has done more than Sam Darnold, has proven himself more than Sam Darnold, and will beat out Sam. I actually agree with Rashad. I do think they will come into camp at Wofford with the QB competition being the idea. Zoe, I just don't think it's going to be much of a competition. I think Baker Mayfield takes that spot from Sam Darnold on day 3.
I think we'll know for sure if that's going to happen if and when, because he probably will, Baker has a press conference when he gets here. Is he going to come in and say, I've been assured by the coaching staff that I'm going to be the starter? Or is he going to come in and say, I can't wait to compete for this job?
Yeah.
Because I think he comes in and says, hey, I'm going to lead this team, and doesn't mention the competition.
No, I don't think he does either. And I don't think he has a reason to, right? Like, I don't think he has a reason.
And if what Rashad was saying, he heard that he's trying to get together with the guys to work on chemistry. Do you do that if you're in a competition? Because the other players, aren't they kind of going, okay, but we don't know who the starter is. If we go practice with him, it looks like we picked him type thing. I know it's kind of petty, but still, we've talked about personalities in sports, and you kind of don't want to do that. So if he comes in and brings guys, to a place and starts practicing with them, he plans on being the starter.
All right, a couple of texts here that have come in to the Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Start your text with Fan. Fan says Panthers need Kerry Collins back. Texter says, great. A Saints fan is happy with our new quarterback. Time to panic. I think I hope you guys have learned by this point. When I'm in this chair, when I'm doing this show, my affiliations are dropped, right? In fact, what have I said about the Panthers since I moved here? 2.5 years I've been doing this. What have I said about the Panthers for 2.5 years? I want you guys to be good. Away from the air, yeah, I'm a Saints fan. On the air, I want you guys to be good. I want you guys to win. I want you guys to be excellent. Because while Rob, the Saints fan, off the air, will have to listen to Panthers fans gloat if they win a Lombardi, Rob, the guy that hosts this show, makes a lot of money. And you know what the one thing that Rob, the on-the-air guy, and Rob, the off-the-air guy, have in common with each other? They both love money. You guys win the Super Bowl, I get more of it. Lonzo gets more of it. We are pretty keen to that idea, all right? When I talk Panthers, I promise you I'm talking about them in their best interest. And I think the Panthers are better with Bake than they were with Sam. Texter says, Baker is fine. My frustration is with the front office constantly going from QB to QB and never getting it right. Here's the thing. It's hard to get that right. It's hard to get it right. There are 12, 13 good, solid, consistent quarterbacks. There are 6 or 7 star quarterbacks. You keep firing till you hit, right? Think about it this way. Baker was in Cleveland. Cleveland's a dumpster fire. Baker, when he was in Cleveland, took a dumpster fire to the playoffs. If the Panthers achieve stability, if the Panthers are able to keep it level because of that stability, how much better could Baker do? What else could he accomplish with a team around him that's not run by a bunch of incompetent boobs? Right? Give it a shot. You don't have many front offices that can go from star QB to the next star QB. There's only a few of them. And I'm talking star QBs, not those front offices. And now I'll agree, this will be the third one in a row if Bake flames out. But of the ones that you've got, I think Bake's got the best chance to be successful. Texter says, Fan, did Sam release a statement about mentoring Baker? Not yet. God, if you're Sam, how funny would that be? You know, we're glad to bring this new young quarterback into the fold, and I am happy to show him the ropes here in the National Football League. Texter says the guy who wears Saints gear in a said chair. Right. I'm a Saints fan. I have never hidden that fact from you. But again, it is my job to be honest about your team. I take the proverbial Saints hat off when I talk when I talk about the Panthers. Because again, I like money. And when the Panthers are good, I get money. So I'm going to keep doing that.
There is a fan base that might be the one that's texting you that thinks you can't say something nice about your rival. And that could be what this is, but you can be objective and be a fan of a different team.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is Mark Ryan can't talk about anybody else in the SEC because he's a Florida fan. And we all know that. We've known that since he's been here. Diesel can't say anything about anybody else college football-wise because he's an App State fan. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You get hired. We're not the homer station for a team. Those guys have to talk nothing but favorable about their team. We can talk about anybody and do it objectively. I am the only person who will tell you probably that I'm being biased because I want to.
Because I want to. The number one reason to do anything.
Yes.
All right, let's take a break. Texter says, at least they didn't get Deshaun Watson and cripple the team even more. Yeah, that's all you needed was that PR nightmare.
Yeah, that's true. And that was the rumors at the beginning of the whole thing.
Carolina was in, so was Atlanta, so was New Orleans. So was a lot of teams. Let's take a break. We're back after this. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Open hour number 2 with Fight Club. Your home for combat sports across the Upstate, hosted by Lonzo. We'll have a short segment in the middle, and then we'll wrap it up with Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty, coming up at 11:35. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
I'm just curious, what are you allowed to talk about? Only Saints? Only Saints? That's all you can talk about?
Not very much.
Steve and I will be there at 6:30. You're right, Keegan. It is.
Very good. Funny enough, that's actually where the name Thursday comes from. That is correct. History is fun.
It's time for another haughty lesson with Rob Brown.
Don't you like knowing things? I like knowing things. I find random information fascinating.
I prefer to stumble through life oblivious.
Dear America, I'm begging you to stop watching the Kardashians. Can we just let them go away, please?
Well, that's the wrong thing.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Well, that's the wrong thing.
Only the stream heard that. You didn't have to point that out. All right,
That's all right.
I made my mistake for the week. I quit.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I don't know if you saw it. We didn't talk about it yesterday. I guess it happened yesterday after, or I guess overnight, the night before last. But somebody done blowed up the Georgia Guidestones. You ever been over that way, Lonzo? You ever gone to see the Guidestones? I'm assuming not, based on that blank look.
Oh no, that was me marking it off of Twitter.
No, you can leave it there because
No, I'm not doing
I can't
that.
talk about this enough. Okay.
I have never been there. I've heard that's mysterious and all. It was mysterious and all those things. No longer.
It's so I have been there. I took a motorcycle ride there, not terribly long after I moved here. Well, I guess about 6-7 months after I moved here, we took a motorcycle ride to the Georgia Guidestones, and they popped into the news. Some people know what they are, some people don't. But if you haven't been there, basically they were 3 huge granite slabs with like a top slab laid over them. They were kind of called they were called the American Stonehenge or Georgia Stonehenge, but they're 3 or 4 giant marble slabs, 4 marble slabs laid around a capstone, and there was one slab in the middle. They were astronomically aligned. There was like a hole through them, which on I think like the summer solstice, the sun came right through the hole or whatever it was. Anyway.
Wow, as a fan of science, this should amaze you that they were able to set all that up.
Sure, it's
mysteriously.
It's again, it was fascinating when the Egyptians were able to build the pyramids in a way that was exactly aligned to the constellation of Orion, etc.
With the help of aliens.
Yeah, obviously. Thank you, History Channel. In 1979, these things went up. Some guy using a pseudonym built them. Nobody actually knows who they put up. But here's the thing. There are people who have these big, extensive conspiracy theories about these things, right? Oh, they were put up by the New World Order. On the guidestones, there are 10
curse you, X-Pac.
guidelines or principles put on them. And some people don't like it, right? Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with the living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. All right, blah blah blah. You get it. So some people read these guidelines, these rules, as like, oh, somebody put them up as a new world order.
Are the Druids angry?
I didn't interview them.
Okay.
Yet to tell you the answer to that.
Because angry Druids could be a problem.
Here's the thing. These things are built just outside of Elbert, Georgia, in Elbert County. Elbert, Georgia is the granite capital of the world. Or at least they refer to themselves as such. And then this huge monument made of granite pops up in the middle of nowhere. It's like out in a cow. We went there, it blew me away. Because, Lonzo, it's literally out in the middle of a cow pasture, right? Like when we were going there, I was following the lady friend's dad on a motorcycle. And we got there, and it's just in a cow pasture. You go down this remote Georgia highway, you turn onto this dirt road off to the left, and then it's just there in a cow pasture. It's very weird. I'm like 99. This isn't the New World Order, the Illuminati building these things, whatever. You know what this was? This was a granite dude in Elbert County who's like, how do I get people to come here? How do I get people to come to this city, which is like 9 buildings in a cow pasture, and leave some money with us? I got an idea. How about we build a ridiculous-ass cryptic thing out of the most available resource in this county?
You, as an agent of the Illuminati and a 1%er, has been sent here to say all that. No one believes you.
Been working here 2.5 years just waiting for this moment. Anyway, Lonzo, somebody blew it up the other night.
And now they had to demolish it. The best memes.
They take the rest of the thing down?
Yeah, the best memes are Randy Orton doing it. You should look it up.
Stop blowing stuff up, people. Stop blowing stuff up. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Hour number 3 starts with Fight Club next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
Most people don't. Well, some do. Hashish wheel. That's why it was trending, because they demolished the rest of it.
Gotcha. We'll leave it up there because I didn't know that.
Not doing it. That defeats the whole purpose of the thing. You're not supposed to know what it's supposed to be. Especially after some other host tried to bust you out on the air and say that how you cheated. And I will never forget that. You may have, but I won't. So this thing's up and up on my watch. That's all I'm saying.
That's not even sarcasm, by the way. Oh, God.
You upset the Guidestones people?
No, I'm looking at
Randy Orton.
Reason that another particular wrestler is trending.
Who would that be?
I don't want to say it in case it's on Twitter trending topics.
Well, I'm not worried about Twitter. I'm more worried about Fight Club, which is coming up here in a second.
The
So
Briscoes versus the Von Erichs have been added to the last match card.
yeah, I already saw that.
Okay.
We're not talking about that though.
Okay.
Definitely Weasel, for sure.
Hey, buddy. Can't get a Pauly Shore thrown in there. Hey, buddy.
All right. So while you're interviewing the coach, I'll be able to get both podcasts up. I just got the other one edited. So
You have to pull off the skimmer.
yeah, I did it while we were sitting here. So
Was it just that first segment?
no, it was 2 segments that I had to piece together within it. And I mostly matched it up by looking at the wave. So while we were on the air, I just matched up the waves, which is hard to do.
I was gonna say I don't enjoy that.
It's hard to do from the on-air signal because the waves are a little bit,
Yeah.
they've got music underneath them and stuff like that. But it's like unlocking something in a video game.
Oh, Pauly Shore is the Weasel. I don't think
Yes.
I've ever seen the Weasel, to tell you the truth.
Pauly Shore is the Weasel, yes.
That makes sense then. So I did get Pauly Shore love. Well done. Nothing that's more of a compliment than you remind me of Pauly Shore.
Hey, for a while there, he
Pauly
was,
Shore ran the world for a little while.
for a little bit, yeah.
Did you see he confirmed that they're doing Biodome?
2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently it's going to be outer space based,
Why not?
right? Hey,
He
buddy.
was also, if I recall, a voice on the Goofy movie.
Correct. It's the Leaning Tower of Cheese.
One of the best animated films of all time.
Oh, 100%.
Now I got that song in my head. I only know part of it. Look into each other's heart.
Seeing each eye to eye. Brown, brown. That song's a banger, too.
And that kind of thing would happen to me. My kids would be like, you don't know that guy.
Apparently your boy over there is talking Baker. Because it's just a bunch of texts going.
Well, they're from Charlotte, so he probably has the Charlotte guys on. He has one of the guys from the morning show on
There's a bunch
sometimes.
of texts that are like, you're out of your element, my guy.
Talking about, yeah, Vince's not a big football
Do you
guy.
think he gets texts that go, stick to politics? Keep your sports out of my politics.
Probably. They don't like the NFL that much, remember? It is time for the Fight Club. So many things to get into in this edition. It's not an early edition. You know why? We go where we want to go. And
Do
wanted-
what we want to do.
We wanted to go at the beginning, so that's what we're doing. We're going to start off with something possibly controversial. Might make Rob mad, but that's my whole point of this entire segment. All right. Fans were critical of Sheamus exploiting Jeff Hardy's addiction problems. Some of those same fans are praising Christian for doing the same. When should brand loyalty stop? Why is it okay if AEW does it, but it's not okay when WWE does it? By the way, I don't think it's okay either way unless there's something positive to come out on the other side, and there never is, because Jeff Hardy is Jeff Hardy.
So I think you're leaving out one other moment where that happened, and that was when Samoa Joe did the same thing to Jeff Hardy's face when he came out and dropped one of the biggest promo bombs in recent memory when he was like, Jeff, why don't you make like this is an AA meeting and shut your mouth until I'm done sharing with the group, right? Context is everything. Context is everything. When Sheamus did it, the way Sheamus set it up was staged it to look as if Jeff Hardy had an actual DUI car crash, right? Context versus when Samoa Joe did it in a way to put it on Jeff and not somebody else. Or when Christian Cage put it on Jeff and Matt. I also think the other element with what happened last night with AEW, was that you had to have, as Jeff is an employee, well, I guess you didn't have to have, but you more than likely got Jeff to go, yeah, I signed off on this, whatever, but Matt was there too. Right? And Matt would have had to sign off.
We don't know that for sure because our understanding of AEW and how they do promos are not scripted. Sometimes they get bullet points, sometimes they don't. So this may be a thing where Christian Cage went out and did this without asking anybody.
It absolutely may. And it also may not.
Right.
And I don't think it's fair to work under either assumption. Here's what I will say. I think if that was unscripted, if Christian didn't tell Matt, I'm going to drop an absolute brother bomb on you during this promo, AEW guys and gals are pretty open about voicing their displeasure. And the Dirt Sheet guys seem to get those reports whenever. I suspect we would have gotten within hours, Matt Hardy was furious or upset or hurt or whatever. Jeff could have called anybody running a Dirt Sheet and said, dude, I'm not cool with that. And I'm giving you a quote to put out there that I'm not cool with it. It basically comes down to a context. The context that happened when Sheamus did it, like he was taking advantage of somebody else's issues, is not a great look. The way Joe did it, the way Cage did it, if they got it signed off on by Jeff or Matt, in that case, I think adds an element of chemistry, of heat to that debate.
All right, you kind of proved my point.
That's fantastic.
You proved my point.
No, I just used Samoa Joe in WWE. He did that on Raw.
You proved my point though. Brand loyalty needs to stop. If it's not okay one place, it's not okay the other. And the approval that may or may not have been gotten on AEW may or may not have been gotten on WWE.
You either didn't hear me or ignored my point. I just talked about it happening in WWE in a way that was celebrated as one of the best promos in recent memory.
But it wasn't
when
celebrated.
Joe did it.
I thought it was horrible either way. But that's and in the end, this really isn't about whether it's right or wrong. It's crazy. People say things there that they would never say to someone's face. But the same people, like you can't go back and find out that they said this about this thing, are saying something's okay now with this. How's that make you look? If it's not okay somewhere else, it's not okay here.
Okay, again,
be consistent and don't be so loyal to the brand.
I am literally giving you an example. Samoa Joe did the same promo to Jeff's face in WWE, and you can go right now onto 100 YouTube accounts and pull up best promos of the 2010s or 2020s or whatever, and Joe's promo is ranked towards the top of all of them. Joe's line was absolutely celebrated as a bomb, as this amazing promo moment when he was in WWE, right? That is a moment it was approved of in WWE like it was with AEW. I do agree there are some people and I have become borderline one of them if I must admit it.
Borderline.
AEW is better than WWE right now in every aspect. In my subjective, personal opinion, it is better in every way, to the point that, yes, I have sacrificed a lot of time watching WWE. I have cut NXT entirely. Raw and SmackDown, as Lonzo can tell you, I basically come in and speed run them on replay when I get into work, right? I just put them on in the background, and when there's a match that I'm bored with, I just fast forward through it and get to the end. Whereas AEW is a show I'm watching all 2 hours of Dynamite, all hour of Rampage, and every pay-per-view. But, as I have said 100 times, and Lonzo refuses to believe me when I say it, I want WWE to be good again. Half the reason I was excited about H coming back when Vince stepped down was because H made the best WWE product in years when he was in control of Black and Gold NXT. And if you can take that concept of wrestling and move it to WWE, Raw becomes great again. And that's all I want. That's all I want. I'm not going AEW and skipping WWE because I love AEW and therefore must hate WWE. I moved to AEW and left WWE because WWE is bad right now. Now, there are guys I love. Not primetime players. That's AEW. Street Profits. Huge fan. Lonzo, I told Lonzo, 2 days ago? I want a Street Profits jersey.
It was yesterday, but,
Time flies when you're having good times.
It does. It does.
I want a Street Profits jersey. I think they're amazing. I think Seth Rollins doing some of the best work of his career right now.
Except for the laugh. The laugh needs to go.
Yeah, well.
Laugh's pretty annoying.
It's forced. But the point is, there's good stuff happening, but it's so isolated that the rest of it's unwatchable.
I like both brands, so I don't need to pick one or the other. All right, the next question, because I want to continue with making Rob emotional, is a question about your boy Logan Paul. All right, Logan Paul has signed with the WWE. Is this good for wrestling or boxing?
Man, look. Here's the thing. It's not good for WWE. Okay? It's going to bring eyeballs to the product because you're going to have all the children who follow YouTube
By the way,
influencers.
Didn't do a bad job at WrestleMania. Did not.
No.
And he's got the physique to be a WWE star.
As celebrity wrestlers go, somebody pointed out on Twitter the other day, the bar is set really high right now, right? Bad Bunny in his 2-match run was really good. You can go back to Stephen Amell when he showed up, right, and did his guest spots.
And I don't know if you put Pat McAfee in there, although
Hell yeah, you do.
I mean, as far as that, but now he works for the company.
Right, but I mean, he's still a celebrity in wrestling. I would
about to wrestle again pretty soon against Corbin, which will be interesting.
The bar right now for celebrities is set very high, and I got to give the kid credit. He showed up, and in his match alongside The Miz, looked like a wrestler. I mean, he really did. And maybe he'll become a big wrestler. The problem, I think, is that you bring YouTuber, Instagram, influencer followers over, and you eventually have to start catering the product towards them.
I don't know. When you brought in the real world star Miz, did you have to cater the product to those
For a little while, you catered Miz towards him, and until Miz decided to go full genuine heel on it and become this A-lister character he is today, which worked out well. I don't know. Does Logan have that versatility that Miz has? We'll find out. We'll find out. I don't love it.
All right. So is it good for wrestling or boxing?
It's bad for boxing.
No, I would say, see, this is what I maybe I'm not wording the question right. If he becomes a full-time wrestler, he's no longer a boxer. Then for you, this is a win.
That's good for boxing.
Yes.
Problem is, I don't see that being the case. I don't see him dropping boxing to be a full-time WWE and go like, I'm going to shun this thing. Here's the thing. He still makes so much money from boxing. Whatever he's going to make from wrestling is going to be in the ballpark, except he's only got to box 2 or 3 times a year, right? And if you don't think Vince...
Which is what, I mean, most boxers only box like once a year, right?
If you don't think Vince is going to see that as... Right, because if he sends a guy out who's a pro wrestler to a boxing ring and that guy's winning boxing matches and then he brings them back to WWE, he brings viewers with him. That's absolutely going to happen. As this texter just said, I'm convinced Vince is still in charge and books everything to entertain himself. Yes.
And still, even though there are purists and haters, they're still making money. All right, let's go on to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has said he's done with boxing. He would prefer to do exhibition matches going forward with Francis Ngannou. He'd like to fight him. He'd like to fight Mike Tyson. He'd like to fight Lennox Lewis. He'd even like to fight The Rock. But he's also going to come back to the WWE to face Drew McIntyre. What do you want to see him do out of all those?
Honestly, not wrestle again. I didn't enjoy it.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. And
do you want to see Tyson Fury versus Mike Tyson in an exhibition match?
In a boxing match?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I'd rather see Tyson Fury as a boxer. He tried his hand at professional wrestling. He was okay. You had him come. I don't remember. Who did he even fight? I don't even remember. Oh, Strowman. He fought Braun Strowman. And granted, maybe Braun Strowman, could, or you'd have somebody that could carry him better.
Well, Drew McIntyre is the guy that they're talking about. And McIntyre could carry him. They're kind of the.
I personally get nothing out of it.
Okay.
It does nothing for me.
All right.
I'd rather see, and here's the other part of it. The other part is this is where you meet Rob, the boxing fan. Tyson Fury is the biggest things boxing had in years. I don't want him to walk. If he wants to be done with boxing, be done with boxing. I can't begrudge you for being done doing this thing.
Dude, what all did Muhammad Ali do after his career was over? He did a ton of things. So it's really no different. Should he just, retire, disappear for the rest of his life?
Again, if he showed up and he was a good wrestler, then I think I might feel differently.
If you got the money and the notoriety to do whatever you want, aren't you going to do whatever you want?
Listen, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all right now. If there's any local wrestling promotions in the area that want me involved in any way, I'm in. I'll come be a manager, a valet. Hell, I'll step in and take some bumps. If you want me involved in any way, I'll do it, right? I get it. If you love professional wrestling, there's not much cooler than being involved. Shaq did it, and Shaq was actually pretty damn good for a big guy, right? Shaq's done it. Bad Bunny, arguably one of the biggest global superstars in pop music, and was pretty good. If you're a wrestling fan, that's a genuinely cool thing. And I'm assuming Tyson Fury must at least be somewhat.
Oh, he's definitely, if you watch the behind the scenes things when he wrestled the first time, he's a big time wrestling fan.
So I get why he's doing it. And I can't begrudge him for doing it because I do the same thing. Again, any local wrestling companies want me involved, call me. I'll do it in a heartbeat, man. In a heartbeat.
And after you hire him, go ahead and I'll do this for free. I'll come in and do a heel chair shot on him.
There you go.
You don't have to tell him that we're doing it.
No, I'll take it. It's fine.
Or a Singapore cane. I always wanted to swing one of those. Getting the opportunity to do that, that would be an awesome thing. It absolutely would.
So I'm willing to take the bump from Zoe. We're willing to come in and do it. And that's why I don't begrudge Tyson Fury from doing it. What I don't want it to do is come at the expense of cheapening boxing somehow. That's what I don't want to happen.
All right. So the next thing is to bring you back to anger because we've went
Thank you,
here and there.
Lonzo.
You're welcome.
It has been 45 seconds.
Let's talk Jake Paul. Jake Paul will not be fighting Tommy Fury because Tommy Fury cannot get into the country. So the reason why I'm telling you this is Jake Paul is looking for an opponent, and you've just pointed out how you will go to a local wrestling
organization. Can he
organization.
fight Tyson Fury?
No, how about you? I mean, are you willing to jump in there with Jake Paul?
My ass, and I know it.
Okay.
All right. I know him.
All right.
Listen, I don't begrudge him as not a dude. He is a bro, and I get it. And I'm even impressed with the. I don't like to give him credit. I'm impressed by the growth he has shown as a boxer, but he's not fighting professional boxers. That doesn't mean he couldn't kill me. Of course he would kill me. Look at me. I'm a blob. He would smoke me. I'm a chump. But fight a professional fighter, and then let's talk.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob Brown, but you have boxing experience with Roy Jones.
I do.
So it isn't like you'd be going in there without some skill, some know-how.
No, listen, I know how to throw a punch. I even know how to eat a punch you see coming. That dude is a man. I get it. He would smoke me. I am a tomato can of worthless as a fighter. I enjoy chicken parm too much to be a boxer, but he has not fought a real boxer yet. When he does, call me. Shocking coincidence. shocking coincidence that he's finally got a boxer on the line and oops, that can't happen anymore. Hey, Jake, go to London. Go fight him there, big dog. Fighters fight internationally all the time. Take your punk behind over to London and fight him in his turf if you're such a BA, my guy.
Maybe he will in the future, but you know how that works when you already got a venue booked and things like that. You can't just up and go somewhere else.
Why?
All right.
What, you're not fighting him here? What's the difference in not fighting him here and fighting him over there?
Because there are other
fighting him
people.
here.
There are other people fighting on the card.
He's
All
acting
right.
like a chump.
All right. Liv Morgan. How long will she keep the belt?
SummerSlam. I don't know if you heard this yesterday. She was doing an interview. I don't know if it was on the bump or what, but she got asked. What's the difference between you, Charlotte, and Ronda as a champion? And Liv said, the difference between me, Charlotte, and Ronda is the people want me to be champion. It's like, oh, got him. Yes.
And she's right. She's absolutely right.
I love it. Listen,
so if she loses SummerSlam, who's she lose it to? Charlotte come back?
You know what this is? This is female Kofi Kingston, right? This is female Kofi Kingston. Now, granted, she doesn't have the longevity and the history.
By the way, I think she's a little more believable as a champ than Kofi was because of who all Kofi was having to go up against.
I think she is too, and I think the longevity of teasing Liv Morgan as champion makes it more believable. I think the push of Liv Morgan as this woman who just kept getting close and couldn't get over the bump, but then came back and learned and then failed and then came back and learned, I think makes her a believable champion. I'm glad she finally. How many times have you and I come in here and been like, that should have been it, right?
Absolutely.
I'm glad that she's finally getting her run. That's good news. But watch, they're gonna bring back Charlotte and give her the belt again. Because Vince just keeps doing the same three things. We're going to end SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar versus Roman and Charlotte as champion. Stop me if you've heard this before.
All right, so I love Liv Morgan, but my friend Charlotte Flair deserves to be the champion whenever she wants. All right, just a couple more things before we go to break. Theory. Is this a mistake or is this a setup to give John Cena the record?
It's Cena. It's got to be Cena. First off, Theory doesn't start his promo. First off, let's go all the way back to what was it, Saturday night at Money in the Bank. Adam Pearce coming out and being like, "What's up, Vegas? Good to see everybody. Oh, by the way, Theory's in Money in the Bank now." Why? Everybody else had to buy. And I get what you're going to go with. But here's the problem. You cannot run with a Vince's protege right now. And if you don't have Vince's protege right now, what's the justification for Theory being in that match, right? It would have made sense if Vince McMahon would have come out and said, "I'm making this an 8-man match now." Or even better, if he would have removed somebody from the match. Sami Zayn, you're out.
All right, here's a way to fix it with Theory. You just come out and have Triple H walk out, put his arm around him. Doesn't have to say anything, doesn't have to do anything. All he has to do is put his arm around Theory and just kind of give him a shove to the ring. There you go.
But Triple H isn't running Raw. He isn't running.
Doesn't
the big
have to
show.
be.
He's
I mean, from a
NXT.
visual standpoint, you're worried about the whole protege thing. All Triple H has to do is do that. The same thing that he.
Yeah, but all you're doing in that case is hooking Triple H to Vince. The whole point of Triple H being in there is to unattach Vince right now, right? So if you do that, you're hooking H to Vince. Listen, I get it. The plans were already in place for Theory to be champ, for Cena to come back and win it, and for Cena to break the record and be the guy. And I'm fine with that story. But the minute VKM was gone, Theory should have taken a cool-off period to stop being the protege, and you should just tell it every. Hell, have Cena come back and beat Roman. That's fine enough as it is. The only guy that could end Roman's reign of terror was John Cena. And then have Cena lay the belt down and walk away and do something to pick a new champ. Anything was better than, hey, you know how all you guys turned in because 7 of your favorites were going to go for it? Yeah, no, it's Theory again for no justifiable reason.
All right, one last thing before we go, because I do nothing but exhibit my need to be the heel during the segment. And the only time I ever will be because everyone loves me otherwise. Thunderstorm. You like it or you hate it? You don't know what it is.
I don't.
It's Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. That is the name of their tag team.
Gotcha.
Thunderstorm. Is it corny or are you down with it?
I mean, I'm fine with it in that it makes sense.
Would you have hated it if it was in WWE and love it because it's in
No,
AEW?
not at all. I'm fine with it. Does it like am I popping for it? Like Team Hell No, the greatest tag team name in history? Like RK Bro, a great tag team name? No. Does it make sense? Yes. Does it fit? Yeah, sure. I just don't get the concept of taking the two biggest names in individual women's wrestling and making them a tag team. Like, you only have so many top tier women's wrestlers on that roster right now. Why are you taking two of the toppest names and pairing them so they got to share limelight? Why would you do that? I don't get it.
They're actually a pretty good tag team. I don't either.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Unless you're going to bring women's belts.
Well, great if they
into
do.
AEW.
Great if they do. But again,
They've managed to introduce belts like every 3 to 6 months. So
do you need? I mean, I get it, but do you need to take the shine off Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm in order to elevate tag team belts out the gate? I don't think you need to. I think you could have done better there. All right, kids, we got to take a break. We'll come back. Very short segment next, and then Julie Carlson. She is the head coach of the Greenville Liberty, the USLW League women's team. They host the playoff game a week from yesterday. We'll talk to Coach Carlson about getting that set up at 11:35. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. All right, the Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. We're going to jump in and jump right back out here because in about 5 minutes we got head coach of the Greenville Liberty, Julie Carlson, joining us. Coach Carlson has her girls in the playoffs, the inaugural season for the W League, the inaugural season for the Liberty, and Coach Carlson has taken the girls to be one of the top 4 teams on the table, which is why next Wednesday at 7 p.m. they will be playing right here in the Ville. Tickets available at greenvilleliberty.com. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back here in just a minute, and Coach Carlson will join us to talk a little GVL Liberty football. That is next on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. No read here, right?
No, you're good.
All right, well, let's bring Coach Carlson up and say hello. Hey, Coach.
Hey, Rob. Hey, guys.
How
How
are
we
ya?
doing? I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. Appreciate it. I
Awesome.
know you guys.
Yeah.
You guys just came off the. No, have you got training today, or are you off today?
No, we got training tonight, obviously
okay.
pending the weather. We're
Yeah.
fighting the fun lightning cells, but yeah, right now we have training tonight.
I dig it. So I have not gotten a chance to talk to Doug other than setting this up. Do we know our opponent for next Wednesday, or we got to wait for the matches this weekend?
We got to wait for the matches this
Okay.
weekend. Yep. So we should have a final idea Sunday or Monday.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, we decked out for
I know. I love it. It's awesome.
decked out for today.
Nice. Looking good.
Doing our best. They're great, they're great looks. It's a great kit. It really is.
Yeah, they turned out really good.
Yeah, they did.
did a nice
I love
job.
the sky blue away. I'm absolutely grabbing one next time I'm downtown. But cool. We've got probably another 3 or 4 minutes. We'll go live, and it'll be probably about 12, 14 minutes that we'll kick it back and forth.
Okay. Yep. Sounds
Love it.
good.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
See Ryan's comment.
Did not. Let's see here. Love it. Ryan rocking the Triumph polo.
No, people just wander in from time to time.
We're popular. All the cool kids want to hang out with us. Not these two, just the rest of them.
That's funny.
I know what, and I'll ask you. I didn't want to necessarily ask this on the air, Coach, so I'll ask it off. I know that obviously with some of these girls having college commitments and their seasons getting started up, how's that work as far as the playoffs? Is it up to the school if they get released to come back? How's that work?
Yeah, it's pretty much up to the universities to provide permission for them to come back and play. So we have kids that have reported back, and I think due to the distance, we won't have some, but then some are going to be available. Like if we do end up advancing and playing on the weekends, that they'll be available to us.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. But
I'm sure there's no stress waiting to hear how those situations play out for you.
No, not at all. So not at all. Yeah. Definitely keeping us on our toes for
Yeah,
sure.
I believe
Yeah.
it. I believe it.
But it's one of those things we saw, like all the teams are starting to have similar issues.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, Coach. Back Back live on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate, your home for local sports right here in the Upstate of the great state of South Carolina. He is Lonzo, I am Rob, and we are now very pleased to be joined back on the phone line. She is the head coach of the Greenville Liberty, the USLW League, the women's league team right here in the Upstate. She is Coach Julie Carlson joining us here on the show. Coach, welcome back. It's been a minute. Great to have you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Rob, for having me back on the shows.
Of course. Love being able to talk a little bit about the Liberty. Also, or I should say almost, as much as I enjoy watching you guys play here in the Ville, because Legacy Early College has become a bit of a fortress for the Greenville Liberty. You guys have been white hot at home. Talk to me a little bit about how important it is, especially with the results you've been getting at Legacy, to have next Wednesday's playoff game be right here in the Upstate.
I think it's a huge honor. I mean, these girls have worked hard, and their talent level and their outcomes have shown what they're capable of doing. And so I think these results have paid off for them, and they deserve to be playing at home. I think it's a huge opportunity for, a pre-professional team like this group of women to be able to play in front of their home fan base. And I know, Caroline Conti made a comment the other day on a show. It was just like she was one of those little girls in the stands at one point, and now she's on the other side of it, playing in front of those little girls. And I think that's what this whole thing is all about, is putting this now on stage at a more competitive level, playing for something.
I'm glad you said that. When I got asked early in the season, and it's been an absolute honor to be on the play-by-play for you guys this year. When I got asked what the best part of the Liberty has been, aside from just how good this team is, because let's be honest, sports are more fun when your team's good. But aside from that, it has been being able to watch. I go to the every Triumph game, and you see the young people, you see the kids running around kicking the ball. But to have a women's team and to see those little girls that Conti was talking about, see themselves represented. It's not just the guys, but now there is a space for women's professional sports in the Upstate. To see them holding up the signs and running up and down the sideline after goal number 5 at home, it's just good for the heart to see that these young girls now have sports role models that they can look up to and see themselves reflected in the sports here in the Upstate. And I assume that it's got to feel the same way for you or similar.
Oh, without a question. I think most of the interviews, one of the things I talk about that sticks out the most is just, after the game, they're having to pull out the bag of Sharpies and hand out Sharpies to everybody, because everybody's lined up on the stands for, signing autographs, signing posters, signing jerseys now. And I told our players that this is a reflection of the growth of the women's game, not just worldwide, nationally, but right here at home. And, I think these women coming back and being able to play on their home stage has meant the world to them. The Contis, the Thatchers, they've had an absolute blast doing it. And then obviously the success, and this team has just done a great job. They just click, and seeing the little kids coming from 11-11 and from all these local clubs coming out and actually getting to see these women now play up close.
Julie Carlson is the head coach of the Greenville Liberty. I found it kind of inspiring 2 home matches ago, Coach, after you guys put away another victory and earned another 3 at home. I watched a group of girls come out and to get their picture taken on the pitch. They filled up almost the entire keeper's box. The 6-yard box was almost entirely filled with girls wearing Liberty jerseys and running around. And after the picture had gotten taken, I'm watching 2 or 3 of them take fake penalty kicks, the same way that some of us would get in on an NBA court and pretend to shoot a 3-pointer. And to see that reflection that is caused by you and caused by the girls on this team and caused by the Irwins and the group that made this W League team possible, man, it just warms my heart a little bit, Coach.
Oh, yeah. Get you all warm and fuzzy. And, I think that was the Gower swim team that came out. Emmy Wanamaker, who plays at College of Charleston, she teaches swim lessons there. And and that's her summer job. And, so she goes out on the field and she's on the field and you can just hear the roar of her name, being announced, and then bringing them on the field to do some activities. And just, it's like anything, when you look up to a role model, you want to replay that person in your mind as a young person. You want to be the Cristiano Ronaldo or the Lionel Messi or, the Alex Morgan. And here it's a different name. It's Emmy Wanamaker. It's Caroline Conti. It's, Megan Bornkamp. It's Carly Thatcher. And the list goes on. And so I think, these young girls put that jersey on. The only thing they haven't been able to do yet is put the name of the player on the back of the jersey. I think that's the next phase for this process.
We're talking to Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty. Let's talk about the girls that make up this team. And I want to talk about some of those results you've been getting, but let's talk about the girls that make up this team, because and having watched all the home games, being on the call for them, have been blown away by Carly Thatcher, who has been so creative with the football, by Megan Bornkamp, who is as dominant of a player anywhere in the midfield as I've seen in a very long time, by Dubum DK, who I have watched just run by girls like they were standing still. There is so much talent on this team. And one thing I've noticed, Coach, during your matches is a lot of these girls can and do play anywhere on the field. There's a lot of versatility because there's so much talent. Talk about the composition of this team and maybe 3 or 4 of the standouts that have really progressed their play throughout this season so far.
I think right at the start, your standouts were, your high-end players, your Megan Bornkamp, Caroline Conti, Debim DK, Carly Thatcher, Caitlin Riley, some of our alumni in the area, Julie Mackin. And as the season's gone on, obviously we haven't had all of those players throughout the season, Megan being called into the U23s and heading out to Sweden. And obviously we have a lot of them here at home, and as we travel, there's a lot of new players that people don't see. Julie Mackin's one that has just, she's just thrived as the season's gone on. These older, more mature players that people don't necessarily hear about have been a huge backbone for the success of the team. Haley Schubert, who's played center back, Sarah Jacobs, who's shifted into center back when we're missing key players like Bornkamp, playing huge roles. And then a lot of the Furman players that have been in and out, the Cameron Bollocks of the world, who's played probably every game, almost every minute of every game, who's a stellar little player that plays at Furman, and she's very versatile. She's played predominantly outside back for us, but if we needed her to, she could play in the central midfield. So those types of players have been extremely instrumental, especially when we go away from home and we don't have everybody at our disposal. Of the names that you primarily hear about, there's just a lot of other players that are stepping up and getting the job done for us. Christian Brathwaite, who's now 17, who's a young talent. We're going to bring in a couple of new amateur players to fill in some gaps now that players have left to go back to college. And, the Autumn Kayeli plays at TL Hanna. You're going to start seeing her a little bit more here in the playoffs. But we just really have had a really good shell of quality in training and in games. Some of the Division II players, Alexa Fight has come on and been a real just fire plug for us. She played in the last home game and just did a great job. The Emmy Wanamakers of the world, Riley Parsons, and those guys have just come in and they're just little workhorses. Without their name being in big lights, but these are players that people should know about, and that list can go long over and over again with some of the players that we have within our system. And so, because we did have such a solid group of Hal Hirschfeld and Caroline Conti and Megan Bornkamp and Carly Thatcher early on, and then they've been called out. They've had other conflicts, obviously being a pre-professional league. And then so we've had to really rely on the depth chart to bring in some new players. And, those guys have just done a great job for us.
Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty. They will host a first-round playoff game in the USLW League next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Legacy Early College. Tickets are available right now at greenvilleliberty.com. That is one interesting aspect that you, Coach Carlson, get to deal with. And obviously the team has to make adjustments in and of themselves as well, in that you have girls who are committed and on the roster at universities like Auburn and Georgia, like Furman and Clemson, et cetera. And they are getting called back, which means that this roster kind of has to rotate game by game. And, oh, by the way, it's playoff time. So there's that. Talk to me a little bit about how you and the coaching staff deal with that, maybe getting players prepped to play multiple positions based on who's getting called up and down, and how the girls, how the team, how the ones wearing the uniform are having to work with each other to develop chemistry when they may not always know who's going to be available in the next match or not until you're right up against it. Oh,
it's definitely a different type of recipe that has to get mixed and blended together, so, we're working with the university's compliance side because there's things the kids can't miss to allow them to be available to the program, especially like weekends. There's no compliance conflicts based on the NCAA. And then the ones that are still available to us, we're trying to just get them into training, let them know what their foundation is going to look like, what their responsibilities are going to look like on the field when it comes to maybe adjusting how we play in a formation, whether we adjust based on personnel. Do we move a forward back into the back line? We move a player in the back line up front and utilize their abilities and their pace to design a little bit of a different recipe to get some success. And so, we haven't really played too many players out of their normal position, but, we have had some that kind of had to dive in with both feet as of late and had to adjust on the fly. And so we have to work through them as well as just coaching them between the ears to give them a positive outlook on what their responsibilities are so they go in with some confidence.
Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show, and the Fan Upstate coach. Legacy Early College has been Easton Smith and I, who's my partner on the call, we've been calling it a fortress lately because your girls have been spectacular at home. I believe outscoring opponents to the tune of like 26-4 or 26-5 at this point. It has been remarkable to have that much of a run at home. What is it about playing at Legacy early that has gotten not just so many results, but I mean sheer dominance on the home pitch? Not that you guys have been bad on the road by any stretch, you absolutely have not, but it just seems like this team hits a different gear when they're at home. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
I think the goal moves a little bit in our favor sometimes. You actually see the posts maybe move around. It is a game of inches a little bit. I think there's a couple of things. I think one, we've created a pretty good, intimidating atmosphere at Legacy, with the fan base and just everything being so organized and run so well. And it's not like you're showing up and it's just this fancy club game. I think people are showing up and you have the smoke and you have the fans, you have the Reedy Riot group giving all kinds of heckle to the other team. And, I think that just develops all this energy. And I think our players are very much on stage and they just don't want to let the Upstate fans, they don't want to let each other down. I think that puts them on a stage and they've really shown that they can mastermind the pressure of performing out at Legacy. And they just get into a rhythm. And then the way they find the rhythm, they're able to their mindset. They've done a really good job of being able to channel their energy in a positive way and create some great soccer. And I think too, like I said just a minute ago, I think there's some intimidation factors that go into an opposing team coming into that environment there. Because we have been successful. We are an intimidating team when we start running at them at full speed, and we can get them on the back hill early. And I think when we get a team on the back hill early, which we've been very successful doing at Legacy, then it's very hard for another team to dig themselves out, and it's easy for us to manage. And that's always been kind of the goal, is like, can we get on that front foot early in that first 45 minutes?
It is impressive to me just how physical your team plays, how aggressively your team plays, especially as you mentioned early. We've talked a little bit about that on the broadcast, about how this team comes out of the gate, not just let's feel this out, but let's go take advantage of this. Let's make them figure us out
Right.
instead of doing it the other way. And it's been very engaging to watch. So you guys are at home. We've got to wait this weekend to find out who the opponent's going to be. But you talked about the Reedy River Riot in Section 110, popping the smoke and playing the drums. We've seen a couple of matches with really good attendance. How important will it be to you, to the girls, to the Liberty, to have as full of a legacy early college as we can get next Wednesday for that first home playoff match?
I think it's one of the most important things that needs to happen here in the Upstate, is can we sell out or close to selling out that stadium, just to show support for the women's game here in the area. I think it could be the best, obviously we're trying to make history in an inaugural season. We're trying to advance, and I'm pretty certain that, winning that game and advancing forward, we'll get a host again. And so the goal is for us to carry all the way through and try to host a final here at home and win the whole thing. That's now the ultimate goal. And to do that, I think we need the support of people in the Upstate. We need them to come out and create an energy level that's, top of the line here in the Upstate. And I think that's so important, not just to me personally and to the organization, but to these players. I think they've earned that stage, and I think that the fan base should come out and support them to continue this stage, throughout the rest of the season, going in and preparing for next year. What does that stage look like? You're going to entice even better players. You're going to entice these great players to come back. And I think that atmosphere is extremely important.
Love to hear it. Coach Julie Carlson, head coach of the Greenville Liberty. Again, they will be playing in their first playoff match next Wednesday at home, Legacy Early College at 7 p.m. Tickets available at greenvilleliberty.com. Cannot wait to be in the stadium for that. Coach, congratulations. It has been a remarkable season so far, and I expect at least a couple more wins if we can get them, please, and thank you.
That's the goal. Yep. We're pushing hard for it. I know the kids want it really bad. So
there you have it. Coach, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure, as it is always. And hopefully the next time we talk to you, we'll have a big old trophy in the background of your scene there.
Yes, sir. Silver Cup. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Always, always. That is Coach Julie Carlson. She is the head coach of the Greenville Liberty, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. And we, of course, appreciate her time. As always, we will have her back on very, very soon.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents
Absolutely.
Trending Time.
All right.
We got time?
We got time. We got a minute. All right. So here's what is trending on Twitter. Ringo Starr is trending.
Ringo Starr. Birthday? Yay. Happy birthday, Ringo. Ringo gets insulted. Ringo gets put down far more than he deserves. Listen, Ringo was never about being a complicated drummer. Ringo was about keeping a band together using the drums.
Also working with geniuses.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've watched any of the documentary, man, those guys
Yeah.
are so good at putting together a song.
It could have been very easy to fade into the background with McCartney and Lennon and Harrison there, but Ringo was kind of the glue that kept it otherwise together.
All right, one last thing. Jake Paul has rescheduled with a boxer. He's going to be fighting Hasim Rahim Jr., who's 12-1 as a pro. So you're getting what you wanted.
Finally. Listen, I don't know if you know this about me, Lonzo. Lifelong Hasim fan over here. Lifelong. Been a fan my whole life. My whole life. Can't wait to see him. Biggest fight of the year. He said,
Unless he signs that clause where he can't.
no knockout clause.
No knockout clause.
In which case
yeah.
I lose all respect. Thanks to Julie Carlson and the Greenville Liberty for joining us. Thanks to Doug and Chris and everybody over at the Triumph for setting that up. We appreciate that, as we always do. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Jim Rome in the jungle next. Mark Reiner is offsides with Diesel at 3. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Thanks for listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Thanks, stream. You guys are the